Talked about the importance of being grateful.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot this week, about how it's so important to have gratitude, but sometimes it can be hard to have gratitude with everything going on. And then all of a sudden you get all this guilt about not being grateful or not having gratitude, and you get into this big spiral. So here to tell us how we can overcome all this holiday anxiety around gratitude is our good friend, Dr. Sara Getch. And the way we tease this, Sara, I thought was very sort of provocative. Like, it's okay to not be grateful. Is that true?
Well, I think it's just a recognition of the human condition, right? Not every moment is full of positivity and silver linings. There are moments where we are suffering, whether that's because of some terrible diagnosis that we may have received or loss of a loved one or family member. Our condition here on Earth is one where we have both joy and suffering, and that can happen even at the same time.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good point. A lot of people want everything to be perfect for the holidays. So what kind of pressure does that put on us if we're like, oh, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be, it's got to be the best pumpkin pie ever.
Don't we all fall into that trap?
Yes.
And so often we tell ourselves we're not going to do it, and then all of a sudden there we are, working for that perfect cranberry sauce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that my best advice for somebody who's feeling really stressed because they're striving for perfection over the holidays is to focus on what matters. And what matters is family, love, health, and community. That's what matters. Hold on to your values, focus on your values, let go of perfection. It has literally never happened, never. So let's let go of perfection and focus on our values.
And I don't, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Sarah. I don't know if you wanted to talk about just the general anxiety of the holiday, of getting together with family you don't see often, and maybe some ancient family dynamics that can be a trigger, how you can navigate that. It can be a real minefield around the...
I think a lot of people feel that way. I also think that when we find ourselves worrying, we're mostly worrying about things that we can't control, and things that that might feel unknown to us. So if you find yourselves in those situations, remember what you control. You can control your internal reaction, and you can control your outward expression of that. So when you start to sit down at that table, those are the things I want you to express that, because what other people do, we don't have any control over.
Oh, that's a very good point. That's hard to remember, though, sometimes.
It is.
Things happening in the world. And some people can experience survivor's guilt. And I think especially like when you have a lot to be grateful for, or you are healthy and your family is healthy, how can we fix that?
I've been thinking about this a lot recently, because it's really easy to look at what's happening in our communities and across the world and see that kind of violence and tragedy that shows no discrimination, right? And I also know, as we started to talk about earlier, that we can have joy, we can feel joy even in the midst of suffering. And when that happens, we need to use that feeling to do good. So me personally, what I've been doing is I've been spending a little time every day to reflect on two things. The first is, what can I do in this situation? What gifts do I have to offer, even if it just means easing someone's pain for a little bit? How can I move to action in that scenario? And then the other thought that I've been reflecting on daily is, how am I working right now in my life to find common humanity, to love the stranger? And with both of those reflections, I want to move to action. And I think if everyone could start to think about moving to action, we might be able to grapple with these feelings a little bit better.
Well put.
Excellent point.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. All right, Dr. Sara Getch, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.